we'll just start. So again, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining the first joint Eurisy and dotSpace webinar on space opportunities for climate challenges. This is a monthly, the first in a monthly series of webinars where we talk about the opportunities of space for climate. And today we're going to talk about space for biodiversity. So thank you very much for joining this particular topic. As I said before, this is the first in a monthly series of webinars. The next one will be in January. We'll talk about that later. That are all about the combination of space and climate, the opportunities for space and climate challenges, we've called it. We do this together with Eurisy, who will introduce themselves, and Ground Station dotSpace, who will also introduce themselves in a little bit. The agenda for the next hour, or well, if we move over a little bit, we have some more time if needed, but we'll try to stick within the hour. We'll welcome you. That's what I'm doing right now. We'll introduce the topic. We'll share a little bit of news that's relevant to the topic, some events that are relevant to the topic. Then we have speakers that we selected for you who can talk about the topic. And then we will allow 1-minute pitches. Anyone really who has something to say about the topic, we've asked them in the on the registration form to indicate if they're interested in doing a 1-minute pitch to this audience. And we'll have at least one of those today. And after that, as I said before, and I'll keep repeating this, we will move over to the Open Campus Forum, where we can continue the discussion 24/7 online in the Ground Station dotSpace Open Campus Forum. So with that, I would like to give the floor to Corneel to talk a little bit more about Eurisy.
Perfect. So thank you for introducing us to this exciting new platform. So first of all, my name is Corneel Bogaert. I'm a Belgian national trainee for the European Space Agency, and I work for Eurisy. And my colleague Annalisa, she will explain a bit more about our organization in a few minutes. But first, I want to say a bit, or elaborate a bit on the topic of today, which is biodiversity and plant health. So anyone who did not yet see this documentary, it's very relevant and it's available on Netflix. I cannot recommend this enough. Alive on Our Planet, and I just took some numbers from this documentary. It starts in the early life of David Attenborough, and you can really see the numbers change over the years. So from late 30s to the 60s, you can see a slight drop of the remaining wilderness worldwide, but the real dramatic loss of biodiversity is really noticeable by the end of the 70s, where you can see drops to 55%. And by the end of the 90s, it's even as low as 46%. And the air pollution is also, well, very much on the rise. And you can already guess what my next slide will be. It's about this year. It's the numbers of 2020, and well, it's not good. So we have never been with so many people on this planet, and air pollution has never been so high. While at the same time, our biodiversity is so, I mean, it's so low. It's in less than 100 years, it has halved. So it's now up. It's as low as 35%, and so I do not want only to deliver this doom scenario or this negative message, because in this documentary there was also a very positive message. There was mention of this the Apollo mission, which was launched by the end of the 60s. And with this mission, we had the first picture of our planet seen from space. So we had a blue sphere in the blackness of space, and in that one shot, there was the whole of humanity with nothing else except the person that was in the spacecraft taking the picture. And this image completely changed the mindset of the human population on the world. And this is also something we hear these days when astronauts return from their journey on the ISS. They always talk about our delicate atmosphere protecting our planet, and this is something we should aim to protect. And that's also something we are going to talk about today, because of course space, it's more than just there to offer us nice images. It's also about the numerous satellites orbiting our planet and monitoring the ecosystems that are so important for us to adapt to climate change. And we see that biodiversity, it's being lost, ecosystems are collapsing at an alarming rate. And it is clear that our window of opportunity is closing very rapidly. And it has never been more urgent to restore these damaged ecosystems than right now. And our Space for Climate initiative, we really intend to rally all relevant stakeholders to invest in biodiversity and in new approaches to speed up the actions within the framework of the UN Decade for Restoration, as well as within the Green Deal Biodiversity Strategy for 2030. Now 2030, it's also the deadline for the Sustainable Development Goals, and it is also the timeline that scientists have identified as the last chance to prevent catastrophic climate change. So really, from increased social awareness to more engagement with private sector and policy support landscapes, there is a distinct need to build these multidisciplinary collaborations. And while solutions for the restoration of biodiversity and ecosystems are available right now, they are often not integrated enough in today's governance. Despite the Copernicus free open data policy, the uptake of satellite remote sensing is still limited. And so today we would like to discuss the space opportunities within European calls, even European calls that are not specifically targeting space, such as, for example, the Green Deal. And so we have, that's why we brought such a broad range of speakers today. But before we get to our speakers, I would like to introduce the audience to Annalisa Donati, and she will explain more about Eurisy as the organization. So Annalisa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Corneel. Thank you very much, Remco, and all the organizers for presenting the platform, presenting the concept, as well as the topic of today. I will present very briefly what Eurisy is and what we're doing and our basically our core activities. Great. So basically, Eurisy is a non-for-profit association. It's based in Paris, as it was founded by the then French minister Hubert Courrienne back in 1989. And we gathered together several among national space agencies across Europe and the European Space Agency, which is one of our founding members and our, let's say, biggest contributor, and some of the most innovative research institutes across Europe. This unique membership structure, it's basically allowing those institutions to work together to share principles and to share long-term visions, and to give us the chance to basically be absolutely independent and autonomous in working with professional communities of non-space stakeholders. The mission, which was given to Eurisy, is to bridge the gap between space and society. And it was definitely relevant back in 1989 when the organization was established, and it's still relevant today because as Corneel mentioned earlier, and as it is clear, sometimes is space and space applications and technologies are perceived as difficult and hard to integrate in the daily workflow, but they can actually provide a lot of benefits. So what we are doing to basically fulfill this mission is to actually stimulate the dialogue and exchange good practices and experiences between the early adopters of satellite-based solution and the community that could benefit from those solutions themselves. So indeed, we do this in different ways. We, for instance, raise awareness on the benefits of satellite-based solutions. We do champion the needs of the end users. So we collect success stories and we I'm here today also to invite all of the end users and the companies, SMEs, startups that are providing satellite solutions and that are already offering on the market some solutions to contact us, and we will support the communication and the awareness on the existing services out there. And we do connect in this sense professional communities and space-based organization, and we bring back the let's say the outcomes of this work in terms of policy recommendation to the policymakers and to administration at any level, from local level until the European level itself. And how we do so, we basically act as a facilitator, as I said. So we really are keen to understand what is already available out there, and how this can basically be brought to the end users. We are a matchmaker, so we support on one side the SMEs and the service providers, and on the other side, again, we try to understand the pattern of integration of those solutions into daily workflow of the end user in a lot of different domains, which are right now from, let's say, smart cities to the domain of maritime to agriculture, as well as sports and many other sectors. And we do advise. So in all this process, we gather feedback and we bring it back to policymaker. We realize that there is a certain bottlenecks, again, in the integration and uptake of those services, and we want to make our institutions that are there to create better policies, aware of the obstacles and the setbacks. So I invite all of you to follow us on our social media and to visit our website, where you can find much more about our activities. And of course, do not hesitate to contact us and to share with us your experiences.
Thank you very much, Annalisa.
I would also like to really briefly introduce GroundStation.space, the other partner in this. And I will share these slides, so I'm not going to read this out to you, but GroundStation.space and the dotSpace Foundation are a very proud member of Eurisy and co-organizer of this event. And we basically bring together government, education, and companies around the topic of space technology and space data. So check our website, GroundStation.space, to learn more about that. I would also like to really briefly give you a little bit of relevant news that has been published recently on biodiversity. So first of all, very important, last 30 September, we saw the United Nations Summit on Biodiversity, and I will share these slides. You can follow these links with an enormous amount of information from the United Nations on biodiversity. This year is the International Year of Plant Health. Corneel already introduced that. I didn't know that until a few weeks ago when we started to prepare for this, but this again brings with it lots of initiatives from a United Nations level on biodiversity and plant health specifically. The European Union has announced in a new decade of biodiversity strategy, moving from the 2010-2020 to the 2020-2030 strategy. And again, there's a lot of information available, and a lot of opportunities are available derived from this biodiversity strategy, including the European Green Deal. And there's a lot of money available, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, because we're all about showing you these opportunities for space and space-related industries. The European Green Deal itself, there's GroundStation.space organized a webinar about a month ago, just over a month, 2 months ago, where we had lots of information, and through our website, through this link, again, that we'll share with you, you can download some of that information. Then events, there's really one big event that we should all be looking forward to next week, which is European Space Week. It's the whole week where the European space policy will present itself in all its different aspects. But one thing that I'd like to highlight is on the 10th of December next week, there's a session on the EU space program and the European Green Deal. Anyone can register for this for free, and it's a great opportunity to get acquainted to everything related to European space policy, the European space programs, and the opportunities related to the European space program. You can find the Open Campus Forum on our website, groundstation.space, very simple. And on the main menu, there's a button to the Open Campus. So I would like to ask you to go there, and there you will find the forum. And we've all worked with forums, hopefully, over the last year. So it's a forum like many others where you register under number 3. If you're already registered, you log in under number 4, and then you can join the conversation. You can read the conversation without logging in. So if you rather have a look first before you jump into the conversation, that's perfectly fine. But really simple, groundstation.space, Open Campus, and then it's self-explanatory.